This might be my most important stream of the year. Media is reporting that the Biden administration is going to extend the COVID public health emergency. At the same time, the World Health Organization is also saying the COVID emergency still lasts.
The Emergency Committee on COVID-19 met on Friday last week and concluded that the virus remains a public health emergency of international concern.
So what exactly does this mean? Well, according to Bloomberg, the US government will once again extend the COVID-19 public health emergency, continuing measures that have given millions of Americans special access to health insurance and telehealth services. But what they don't seem to be reporting today is that emergencies also give massive liability shields to vaccine manufacturers. Let's look at the facts. In order to understand what I'm talking about, we have to look at the PrEP Act. The Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, passed by the United States Congress and signed into law by President of the United States George W. Bush in December 2005, is a controversial tort liability shield intended to protect vaccine manufacturers from financial risk in the event of a declared public health emergency. And this was actually accurately reported in December of 2020 by CNBC, with the headline, "You can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government likely won't compensate you for damages either." Although most media tries to cover this up, lie about it, censor you if you talk about it, or do a sloppy PR job, CNBC actually told the truth in that article. Now let's look at a government website. This is the Public Health Emergency official government website. Under PrEP Act guidance, they show that on January 31st, 2020, the former HHS head, Alex Azar, declared a public health emergency pursuant to Section 319 of the PHS Act, 42 U.S.C. 274D, effective January 27th, 2020, a couple months before the lockdown. Interestingly enough, Ivanka Trump also let us know on Twitter that Daddy Trump was working on a vaccine with the vaccine companies since January as well. So who is Alex Azar? He must be some sort of Trump MAGA guy, right? Some freedom fighter that was sticking up to Big Pharma. Trump placed there to fight for you, right? Actually, no, it's the complete opposite. Alex Azar was not only an ex-pharma executive, but also an ex-lobbyist. So Donald Trump picked a pharmacy lobbyist and a pharma executive to run perhaps the most important health position with the power to declare a public health emergency, which once again gives a liability shield to the new quote-unquote vaccines. Well, Donald Trump never took any money from anyone, right? That's what he ran on. Actually, no, that's not true either. He took millions of dollars from corporations, including, interesting, Pfizer. At one point, Donald Trump was a vaccine skeptic before he got into office and sold out, made his own decisions, and was even considering working with the controversial Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And RFK said those talks were shut down as soon as Trump got $1 million from Pfizer.
In 2017, you met with President Trump and you said he was going to appoint you head of a commission about vaccines. That didn't happen. Why is that?
My assumption is, and my assumption is based on empirical observation, because I can't look into President Trump's head, that the industry at that point got to him. And, Pfizer immediately after that meeting with me, Pfizer made $1 million contribution to President Trump's inauguration. He then took people who were vaccine lobbyists, appointed them to the highest positions at CDC and HHS, and we were cut off.
And next thing you know, a pharmacy executive is running the health department. While the media tells us that Big Pharma is just this perfect, amazing thing that you're not allowed to question, there's no controversy there. Just ignore the record-breaking fraud and settlements that they've done over the course of their history. Ignore that, cover that up. But in general, they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, lobbyists in Washington. In 2021, they spent over $356 million lobbying. In 2022, they're already over $101 million. And in 2020, OpenSecrets.org says that Joe Biden got a crazy $8.6 million from pharmaceutical and health donations. Donald Trump at number 2 with only $2.6 million. But remember, folks, it's impossible to say that both parties are compromised by Big Pharma, because social media companies who are also compromised by Big Pharma will possibly delete your account, censor you, or cut your reach, just to prove you that you're wrong. So as Joe Biden's administration and the World Health Organization are set to keep this emergency going, outside of the special access to health insurance and telehealth services that Bloomberg tells us we get, I think it's fair to ask the question, what benefits will the vaccine manufacturers get from this? What benefit will the politicians get for this? The same ones that have gotten so much money, power, and control over citizens, changing rules, creating an entire new reality. Will they benefit from this emergency too? Will people continue to play along? We'll talk about it now. We're live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. This might be my most important live stream of the year, which makes it interesting that it has the least amount of viewers, but that's all gravy. They're talking about extending the COVID health emergency. The World Health Organization is talking about it. The Biden administration, specifically, I think the HHS maybe makes that decision. The head of that is talking about extending the emergency with COVID health. Like I documented, I mean, I just did it for 5 minutes, so I don't want to go over it, but there's different angles to it. Of course, they're going to say, well, it does this, there's money, there's services, it's so great for you. But we want to talk about today, who else does it benefit? You know, people like the World Health Organization that get a lot of power over different countries, and a lot of people seem to work with them. Even at one point, I believe Facebook and social media companies, YouTube, were censoring people on behalf of this foreign agency, the World Health Organization, that is a part of the United Nations. You're not allowed to disagree with them. Although the CDC often disagrees with them, you know, they don't work completely in unison, kind of, but how can I get in trouble for disagreeing with the CDC. I get in trouble for disagreeing with the World Health Organization, but sometimes they don't even agree with each other. So it's like now you have in America, foreign agencies basically shutting you up on your own supposed to be domestic or international public services like YouTube and Facebook, or social media rather. So it's like there's many other angles besides, oh, this emergency is so great for everybody, it's so awesome, we're going to get all this health benefits. You already saw a lot of governors took crazy, like dictator like power over their states. You had the closure of beaches. You had the sand. They put a bunch of sand in a skate park. It looked straight out of a horror like dictator movie where it's like, okay, no more playing outside, no more sports. So I know this is obvious to most people because we got a smart audience, but as the media tells everybody that this public health emergency is just so great and it's awesome and we need to extend it, we're looking at the other side of it. Who benefits from this? Politicians who like money, power, control. It's an absolute cash cow. And like I documented for the first 5 minutes, I won't repeat myself. Big pharma benefits massively because under a health emergency, they are able to shield themselves from liability under the PrEP Act. So if you looked at the beginning of my live stream, Ivanka Trump spilled the beans. I don't know if she purposely did it, but she was like, my dad was working on a vaccine with Moderna since I think the date was like January 10th. Whatever that date was, it was before Alex Azar declared a public health emergency. And I know this bothers people because I'm reading comments. People are like, Democrats are in the hands of big pharma. It's true. Democrats are the most compromised party by big pharma. But to act like Republicans also aren't compromised by big pharma is why we're constantly running in circles, right? Everybody wants to fight the deep state and the Great Reset, but they get offended when their people are selling them out to the deep state and the Great Reset. So if you really want to fight the Great Reset and this like massive, communist liberal world order, as they call it, maybe we should start to call our own side out so we don't just run in circles with like chickens with our heads cut off. So like I said, they started working, according to Ivanka Trump, on a vaccine in 2020 before they declared the public health emergency. Who declared the public health emergency? Alex Azar, the head of HHS. Who is Alex Azar? He's a pharmacy executive, a pharmacy lobbyist. No one is more pro-big pharma than Alex Azar, and that's who Trump put at the head of the health department. So if you want to fight the Great Reset, you can't just trace it to Klaus Schwab and you can't just trace it to Joe Biden. You have to trace it all the way back to when Trump made that decision to put a massive corrupt big pharma guy at the head of our entire health department. I mean, if you want to stop any of this from happening, it's not going to happen when we put that big of a big pharma person at the head that is allowed to declare an emergency. And like I said, for people that are just joining, because we have 2 times the audience now, you have, $1 million donation going to Trump's inauguration from Pfizer. Maybe that was what did it. Maybe it wasn't. He puts a pharmacy lobbyist and executive at the head of human health services. Now they're working on a vaccine. Now they're declaring a health emergency. Now Joe Biden, the king of corruption and the king of being compromised, is extending it. It's just like one big revolving door circus where everybody picks a character and we fight over it. And people are like, oh, it's just the other side that's corrupt. This all started with Trump. This all started with Alex Azar, and it's just being kicked down the road by Joe Biden. Speaking of being kicked down the road, folks, what's her name? The totally competent and not psychotic at all, Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, is telling people you're under vaccinated if you didn't get your second booster. Let's take a watch.
Many Americans are under-vaccinated, meaning they are not up to date on their COVID-19 vaccines. Not all people over the age of 50 have received their first booster dose. Of those who've received their first booster dose, only 28% of those over 50 have received a second booster dose. And of those over the age of 65, only 34% have received their second booster dose. So my message right now is very simple. It's essential that these Americans, as Dr. Shah said, get their second booster shot right away.
This is my Rochelle Walensky impression. Imagine her, I always say, imagine her as a waitress. Like, she's the CDC director. She's supposed to instill confidence. She's like, do you remember the one time she's like, impending doom, impending doom? It's like, lady, you should fire yourself, okay? Even if there is impending doom, you're supposed to, hey, we're the government. We're the CDC. It's going to be tough. You know, this is what like a sane person would say. It's going to be tough, guys, but, you know, we're going to get through it. It's, you know, it's like at war. You don't just tell your soldiers, impending doom, impending doom. Oh, the Russians are invading, the Germans. It's like you'd be fired from the military in a second if you were as psychotic as Rochelle Walensky. No, you're supposed to say, hey, we're storming the beaches of Normandy, folks. It's not going to be easy. Some people might go down, but we're going to make it and we're going to win the war. Like, that's what a real leader does. Not, she literally said one time, impending doom, and her eyes like bugged out of her head. It's like, thank God she's climbed the ladder of corruption over at the CDC, because if she had to exist in the real world, she would be terrible at it. Imagine her as a waitress. Can I help your order, sir? Do you want bacon with that? And do you want pork sausage? And I'm like, lady, I want you to seek psychiatric help because you're freaking me out. And in fact, I'm gonna leave this and go to like a Denny's or an IHOP. You know, I'm literally disturbed by your eye contact. So it's like, this is the lady that's supposed to instill like trust in us. She wouldn't work like anywhere she works. She would freak me out, not just as the head of the freaking health department. And then I make a comment on Joe Rogan's like, you know, Instagram, and all these left wingers are freaking out at me. They're like, you don't like the CDC? I love the CDC. I read books. I'm so smart. I watch YouTube. It's like, cool. You're so smart. Wow. You love the CDC more than me. Maybe you can get a Nobel Peace Prize, but you know, you might not. You might have to ask like Jeffrey Epstein's friends or something, because it might just be a circle jerk between the Epstein friend. They're like, oh, are you a terrible person? Here, we'll give you a fake prize because you bombed a bunch of kids in the Middle East. It's like, it's all inverted. It's like if you get a Nobel Peace Prize like Obama, it just means you actually started wars. But anyway, I got a little off topic, but I'm glad I did. With that being said, you know, they're talking about your second booster shot. And here's my little pitch to the people, because as a person, I'm not giving you health decisions. Whether you drink Coca-Cola every morning and eat a bunch of high fructose corn syrup, or you're a vegan, or you eat all meat, I don't tell people what to do, right? It's not my job. It's not my responsibility. I don't care if you get 4 vaccines, 5 vaccines, 6 vaccines, whatever, you know, they tell you to do. That's on your body. But here's what I will say. This is not coming from a health perspective. This is coming from a liberty perspective. I know this might be controversial and people don't want to hear this, but I personally don't believe that you can stand up for freedom and liberty in America and fight the tyranny if you got vaccinated. Here's why I say that. Not because I'm hating on you, not because I think you're a bad person, but because everybody that talks to me that got vaccinated says, oh yeah, I'm a freedom fighter, I'm a conservative, I'm a patriot, I just got vaccinated to go to work and stuff. And it's like, okay, no, I agree. You don't have to do it. Okay, so did you you know, do you not go to places when they won't allow you there? You get what I'm saying? Like, if they don't allow me because I didn't get the vaccine, are you still going to attend? Oh yeah, I'll go. Like, how many people that got fully vaccinated are giving up all of their vaccinated privileges? They're not flying without a test. They're taking their test. They're doing everything the unvaccinated. Nobody, everybody that got vaccinated, no matter how big of a conservative or a libertarian they were, every single person I've talked to, oh, I'm on your side. So are you going to go to that concert that's vaccinated only? Yeah. Are you going to travel without a PCR test to that place where unvaccinated people are? Yeah. So you're not doing crap. You're, in my opinion, no offense, but conservative patriots that got double vaccinated, that are flying all over and doing all these privileges. I know you could fly now without a vaccine, but in certain cases, you still have to get tested, only if you're unvaccinated. So anybody that's playing along to this is as complicit as Anthony Fauci. I don't care if you got a Trump hat on. I don't care if you call yourself a patriot, a conservative. You can't stand up for liberty if you're double or triple vaccinated unless you're literally going to sit out of every event that you get the privilege. You're not. So that's why you're not helping. You're just as bad as Fauci, in my opinion. And all of this stuff, the extension of the COVID, 15 days to slow the spread, what happened after the economic implosion. If you're left wing, you could blame Putin, but you're wrong. If you're right wing, you could blame Biden, but you're wrong. I mean, Biden is definitely complicit. He's responsible as a president, and he's not making it any better. And for sure, his foreign policy is worse. So I don't care if you give 50 to 80% of the blame to Joe Biden, because I think in some cases he deserves it. But if you're not willing to admit that Trump sold you out to Big Pharma the second he got into office, that Trump's guy is the one that declared the emergency, that Trump funded Big Pharma and then ran around the country like a sleazebag orange vaccine salesman, he literally looks like a clown to me now. He's like, oh, true socialist, how does a pistol? How does a pistol? It's like he's selling me, oh, it's a 1964 Toyota Corolla. It's the best. It's going to get you all the way to Texas to be a patriot. He's just selling pharma. He's a sleazeball. And this is why I'm not going to spill the beans yet, because we'll see what happens, but I'm about to get banned from one of the biggest conservative events in America because I criticized Ted Cruz, because I criticized Big Pharma, and because I criticized the Israeli speech laws that Republicans are passing because they're compromised. So now I'm not even allowed to go to some of the biggest events in America because I'm honest, because I love this country, and I prioritize the Constitution and our freedom over circle jerk donor money and trying to be popular, a special boy, high school, whatever. Oh, I'm popular now. I sit at the cool kids table. They don't want me to tell you what's going on. It's not just Biden. It's not just Putin. Your party's in on it too. So I just want to say, when it comes to fighting this tyranny and stuff, I've always thought in my head where it's like, hopefully, and I'm not saying from a health perspective, because one, I'm not allowed to on social media. I'll get kicked off. Two, I'm not really a professional in that department. In my opinion, I've never said out here, oh, these vaccines are this or these vaccines are that. I don't know what they are, to be honest. Synthetic mRNA, what are the ingredients? I haven't even fully read them. Here's what I'm going to tell people, though. Pfizer's on Twitter saying, oh, it's so safe and effective. It's so safe and effective. Okay, then why don't you take liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths from your product? They don't have to, because Alex Azar and Donald Trump gave them the red carpet, and Joe Biden's probably about to extend it. So they don't have to take liability for him. That's all I'm saying. And me personally, I don't trust someone that doesn't take liability for side effects for their own product. And it's not like it just randomly, spontaneously happened. Yeah, sure. Oh, there's this COVID health emergency. It's so random, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not so random when the guy who declared the emergency is a pharmacy lobbyist and a former pharma executive who got put into office after Donald Trump got $1 million from Pfizer and closed down discussions with RFK, who's a vaccine skeptic. And so is Donald Trump. People are like, Anomaly, you don't understand. He's just friends with Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, and that's why he did it. It's like, is that any better? I would say DeSantis put in a real surgeon general. How come DeSantis can do everything, but Donald Trump is just this like useless idiot who just gets fooled all the time? People are like, Donald Trump's my idol. The problem is he's just too dumb to make his own decisions. He gets compromised by his own friends, and he just, puts in people who hate him. It's like, then why are you following him still if he's that stupid? DeSantis isn't that dumb. DeSantis put in a frontline worker as his surgeon general. Donald Trump put in the phony Jerome Adams, who now is an equity director. He's like playing into left-wing social justice because he's black, and he has some cushy like left-wing job where he gets to come to a thing and be like, this isn't diverse enough. He's a total fraud, the former surgeon general. How come DeSantis puts in a good surgeon general, but Donald Trump doesn't? How come DeSantis surrounds himself by people who stand up for freedom, but Donald Trump surrounds himself by pharmacy lobbyists and deep state people? Maybe he's the dumbest person in the world, or maybe he's a big circus clown and he's in on it. You figure it out, but he's certainly not my hero anymore. He's like a total goofball. Long story short, I truly believe, and this is where I'm not blaming Trump or Biden or even Fauci, even though Fauci's in on it, Klaus Schwab, etc. It's conservatives. How many Republicans got the vaccine to go to work? How many Republicans got the vaccine because they want to travel? And out of all those people, I'm not telling you what to do with your health decisions because I don't really know. It's like everybody takes risks in this world, and you live with what you do, what you eat, what you drink, what pills you take, what vaccines you get. That's this world. You're a motorcycle person. You're taking a lot of risk. I don't judge people, but here's what I will say. I just don't think it's possible to stand up against medical tyranny when you get vaccinated. Because out of every vaccinated person I've talked to, I haven't met a single one that's willing to give up their privileges. Of course, they want the goodies. They don't want to take the test. They get to go to work and not get tested every week. They get to play sports, and they get to go to the US Open, and they get to go to the Australia Open. They get to, do this and do that. And it's like, I'm with you. And I'm like, okay, are you going to not go to that concert? Are you going to, sit out of work for 3 months and cut your pay to stand with the nurses? Well, no, of course not. I mean, I'm going to get my money. Then you're no better than Fauci. You're no better than any of these people, and that's what it is. It's like this is a big goofy circus, and I'm not saying both parties are equally as bad because I don't think it's true. I think the Republicans do offer some value and they're worth holding accountable, but I'm grateful they're not like Justin Trudeau's over there. They're a little bit better than that. But at the same time, to just sit and make fun of like left wingers all the time, it's not going to get you the results you want when your favorite person and the front runner for the next election is a person who put the biggest pharma shill at the head of the entire health department. You want to stop the Great Reset, but you don't even want to get to the root of it. It's just a big goofy circus then where you get a few wins. You might get Roe versus Wade overturned or, a few little goodies. And then, in year 4, you're going to get a lockdown and another sort of thing. Let me know what you think. I'm going to read a few comments possibly, and then I'm going to keep this one pretty brief because I want it to be shareable and watchable. The first 5 minutes, it took me a long time. I fully documented exactly what happened, how Big Pharma has no liability for side effects, injuries, adverse events, or deaths from their COVID products because of the PrEP Act. The PrEP Act was started by George Bush or passed by Congress and George Bush. The PrEP Act was, I would say, activated when Alex Azar, Donald Trump's HHS, signed that, right? Signed the emergency into power. Coincidentally, a couple weeks after Ivanka Trump said they were working on a vaccine. And it's about to be extended by whoever Biden put at HHS, who I can almost guarantee is not some freedom fighter, but probably somebody who's compromised by Big Pharma as well. And this is my stance with the vaccine, because people are like, oh, no one ever said, Anomaly, that Trump was against the vaccine. He doesn't have, I'm not asking people to be against or for. I'm not one of these people. It's not left versus right, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is Big Pharma has swallowed up our media. Big Pharma has swallowed up our social media. Big Pharma has swallowed up our government. Big Pharma swallowed up the Trump administration. Big Pharma swallowed up the Biden administration. In my perspective, it's not healthy for our country to be this compromised by Big Pharma. I want Big Pharma to put out products in a capitalist society, not under an emergency where they have no liability, not where Donald Trump funnels billions of dollars to them in a socialist scam. That's what Trump is, a Big Pharma socialist. He's not a capitalist. He helped usher in all this stuff and gave them a bunch of free funny money after he printed $1 trillion. That's not capitalism. This isn't free market. How do you expect to beat this system when literally there's an entire industry that is compromising our media, social media, and government, paying off everybody, getting the country essentially shut down, getting tens of billions of free taxpayer dollars in a socialist scam to themselves, and then putting out a product at record speed, at warp speed? Donald Trump, the sleazy con artist, controlled opposition salesman who has to sell this big socialist, big pharma scam is like a space force. It's warp speed, guys. We're funding them faster than ever. They're getting liability shields so fast and they get their product out warp speed, folks. Yeah. Oh, warp speed on a product that they didn't have to. In many cases, I mean, Pfizer did foot some of the bill, but a lot of the money for Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Moderna came through Operation Warp Speed, where the government used your taxpayer money to funnel money to Big Pharma after former pharmacy lobbyist Alex Azar declared an emergency, which gave the pharmacy manufacturers no liability for their product. It's a total joke. But people don't want to talk about this. I'm the bad guy. Do you know why I'm the bad guy, folks? Because I actually care. I am who I say I am. I care about what I say I care about. And a bunch of these other frauds and scammers that you watch put on a MAGA hat, call themselves a patriot. They go to these events and then they try to kick me out of the events. Oh, just wait. Just wait what happens if they try to ban me from this event I was trying to go to. Oh, I'm sorry, Anomaly. We read your tweets. Oh, I'm sure you read my tweets. What happened? Were they too honest? Did I tell the truth? Is it bothering the fact that you guys just go there, put on hats and, play these little games for women and social status, and you don't even care about the First Amendment? You guys don't even care about the fact that who else is going to do this report? I mean, there are going to be people out there, but not very many. They just want to, I'm a black Trump supporter. I'm a Hispanic Trump supporter. I'm a white guy who has a MAGA hat on. It's like, I'm not knocking anybody. God bless all ethnicities, but it's like, this is what people want to do. They don't really want to get to the core of it. I'm going to fight the Great Reset by funding the Great Reset, providing liability shields for the Great Reset, and putting in, deep state people for the Great Reset. But I'm totally fighting them because I follow libs of TikTok on Twitter, and I just, make fun of liberals all day. It's like, cool. I vote Republican too. I'm a registered Republican, but this not gonna change anything. And nobody wants to talk about it. Like, it's like, nobody yet has disproved what I've said about the Israeli speech laws. I'm waiting for a debate. I'll debate any high profile Republican on how DeSantis, Trump, and Republicans are passing anti-Semitism speech laws, which would be the same thing as passing a George Floyd racism speech law. I have no problem with any other ethnic group or any other country. The problem is the First Amendment doesn't say, but don't say this, but don't say that. But you can't offend Jewish people who are bankers, but you can't offend black people who are committing crime. And I'm not saying all Jewish people are bankers or all people are committing crime. I'm giving you an example where it's like, these are what hate speech laws are. You can't say this and that. It's like, it's basically just providing a total different country from America, where you're not allowed to have difficult discussions about race, religion, gender, and in many cases, lobbying money. It's the same thing going on with the speech laws in the Republican Party. They don't just love people more than me. I got a bigger heart than all of these people, and not because I have myocarditis, jokes aside. The Grinch had a big heart because he had myocarditis, but jokes aside, it's like, they're not passing these speech laws because they love Israel. They're passing these speech laws for the same reason that social media companies are covering up for big pharma. Same reason, because they're getting paid to do it. Their big money have interest. When, they're funding events and funding stuff with millions of tens of millions of dollars, they want something for it. It's the same reason if a shirt company pays me $800, what do you think they want from me? They want me to sell the shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're just, hey, it's like, no, it's like, hey, Anomaly, we want you to sell our product. Okay, what's the offer? If they give me, and I'm just giving you an example, when people offer me like sponsorship deals, $1 million, yeah, it's not a lot to a billionaire, but when you're running a campaign, you don't want to pay your own money. It is a lot of money. Let me know, folks. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm gonna just wrap this up, keep it brief so people can share it. Also, there's like some stuff going on outside, but anyway, the story of the day is big. I'm sorry, I almost said big pharma. It's the same thing. Government, Joe Biden's administration, and Tedros from the World Health Organization are set to extend the COVID health emergency. What exactly will that mean? We'll see. When it comes to the PrEP Act, I've talked to lawyers. There's going to be some legal battles going on because it does provide liability to the manufacturers. However, people do see loopholes and they're going to try to fight it, from what I've heard. But this is a huge, extension. Emergency means a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of control, a lot of shields from liabilities. And this new era of, the entire world is going to shape around being afraid, forced mask, injections. It's like this whole new reality bubble that they have ushered in under the guise of COVID that is a $1 trillion cash cow over the next couple of decades. And of course, there are a lot of people who don't want it to end, including the number one lobbyist in Washington. And by the way, this is a risky live to make. I mean, I don't really care, but I'm just saying, it's like telling the truth about big pharma is one of the most dangerous things you could do when it comes to censorship. It's like, you're allowed to lie and just be like, a dog is a cat, a cow is a moo, genders are billions of them, and there's no difference between men and female sports. You can say whatever you want, but if you tell the truth about big pharma, all these little sneaks come out of the woodworks, and they're like, fact check. I looked at a Washington Post fact check recently that said, fact check, Pfizer doesn't have a special liability shield from the government. And then at the end of the thing, they're like, they don't have a special liability shield. All of the vaccine manufacturers have the liability shield for the PrEP Act. So it's like, yeah, that's what the guy was saying anyway. But, there's billions of dollars going into PR team for big pharma. They pay off politicians, they pay off media, they pay off journalists. They pay off celebrities, they pay off athletes, they pay off social media influencers, TikTokers, Instagrammers. They have one of the biggest pockets. And I'm going to leave you with this, folks, because obviously Biden's a disaster. He's the worst president ever. He's a joke. He's screwing us over. And absolutely, we'd be better off with a Republican president. But I'm going to leave you with this. When they're doing all of that sort of stuff, you don't want to empower that industry, because I could just sit here and complain about Biden. It's easy. He's a joke. I would never vote for him. I wish that he would get, voted out in 2024 for hopefully somebody way better. But here's what I'll leave you with. If you want to fight, it's like a beast that's growing, growing, growing. This is where the Republicans just fatten up government, and they always say they're going to cut it. Yeah, I understand it's a hard thing to do, but when it comes to big pharma, you can't say that Republicans are fighting it, because if you go from step A to, let's just say, like M, okay? The Republicans empowered big pharma by putting Alex Azar there. They gave him a bunch of money. They gave him liability shields. It's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They're helping big pharma. They're growing the monster. It's turning into Bubba the Fett. Growing, helping. We knew years ago. You could look at my Twitter from 2019. I said mandatory vaccinations are coming. So all I'm saying is I don't agree with that, and I don't think you should give big pharma any more money or power than they already have. Unless they can earn it in a free market, that's fine. But besides that, they don't need any more power. So Republicans fatten up the beast for a year, and then they say, whoa, the beast gets too big. The mandates are here. Oh no, I didn't want it. What do you think's going to happen when you put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of the entire health department, who has the power to declare an emergency to shield liability from the product for companies that they used to work for? Of course that's going to happen. How do you think we're going to stop big pharma when Donald Trump signed an executive order or a bill that gave them tens of billions of dollars? Where do you think that money is going to go? Oh, now they're buying off celebrities. Now they're buying off. Oh no, this is all corrupt. And why can't we report on big pharma? Because Republicans and Democrats came together with Trump at the helm and funneled them money that they didn't earn for themselves. What else is going to happen? So this is just my final statement, just to be completely clear. If you want to stop the Great Reset, all of these mandates, and in this nonstop, never-ending emergency where they take money, power, and control over your lives and treat you like a slave, an animal, and a second-tier citizen, it doesn't come from running around compromised, donor-paid-off, right-wing Republican accounts that just tell you what you want to hear while trying to blacklist me from events. It comes from being honest and confronting these people, obviously peacefully, legally. I say that just so it doesn't get taken out of context. And tell these people, it's like, how are we going to beat the beast when you guys are funneling money, power, and control to it? It starts with us, and they have no plans, guys. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. The Republican Party has no plans to stop this. They have plans to pretend that they're going to stop it. So when I tell people, hey, maybe it's time to boo Ted Cruz, right? Maybe it's time to boo Ted Cruz so he gets it through his head that he's supposed to serve America and not Zelensky of Ukraine. Maybe, like Alabama, we should boo Donald Trump to let him know that the vaccine sales are a little too much. It's not what we're looking for. That's not the leadership we need right now. Well, there's enough vaccine sales all over the place. We don't need another one from President Donald Trump. I think we've sold it, I don't know, a million times in the last 3 years. This is the type of stuff that I'm preaching. Peaceful. I'm not really controversial in any sort of way. I'm not like an angry or hateful guy. And they're trying to blacklist me, folks, from events that these people are speaking at, because they don't want you to hold these politicians accountable. They want to just suck up donor money, wear cowboy hats, hang out with women, and pretend like they're doing something for you when they know they're damn well not. So I'll continue. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what these losers try to do, how many events they try to kick me out of, even though I've never done anything ever in an event. I'm a totally chill person, great person to have there. They don't want me to tell the truth about the speech laws. They don't want me to tell the truth about big pharma. They'd rather just have these circle jerk events like CPAC and I'm not saying that's the one they're trying to ban me from. I'll let you know if they actually ban me. That's what they want to do. They don't want you to know this information. So we keep running in circles. 3 good years of Trump, 1 lockdown, disastrous Biden, then they're going to push these, once Trump is gone, they're going to be like, Tim Scott is a good, he's the lefts are the real racists because Tim's a black man. God bless Tim Scott and his ethnicity, but dude, he's a joke. He's like worse than Ted Cruz. He's like a repackaged John McCain, and they're like, well, Tim Scott is the new guy for you, and people are going to be like, sounds reasonable. I heard it on Fox. It's like, no, these, we need a little bit of challenging. We need to challenge ourselves, not just challenge the left all the time. They're challenging themselves. In my opinion, the left is like eating themselves alive. So it's like with their mindset, you just got to leave them alone somewhere, and they're going to fight with each other. What's your pronoun? What's your pronoun? Well, my pronoun's him, her. My pronoun is Egbert. My name's Egbert. My pronoun's SpongeBob. Well, your pronoun hurts my pronoun. And they're gonna fight each other. I'm just like, that's all. I'm like, what the heck are y'all doing? I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. They're like, I'm offended. I'm more offended. It's like, so that's why I'm over here on the right trying to challenge our people, because I don't think they're doing what people think they're doing. And every time I bring that up, people get like emotionally angry. They're like, no, just talk about Biden. It's like, he fell off his bike. He's senile. He's compromised by big pharma, more so than Trump. The Democrats are worse, but a lot of the root of what's going on now was a seed that was planted by also Republicans, and they have no plans to fix it. In fact, whenever I bring it up, all I hear is a bunch of excuses come out. Like, people think that their job is to be a professional excuse maker for Trump and Republicans. I don't hate the guy with my heart or anything, like I'm a wicked person. I just am dissatisfied with what's going on, and I want to speak about it, because the only way to change it is to confront it and let people know. It's the same reason Alabama booed him, and people just can't stand it. They're like, no, Anomaly, he's my favorite person. He just always gets fooled all the time. I'm like, so your leader's a fool? When I liked Trump, I didn't think he was a fool. I thought he was a great leader. Once I realized he was a fool or he was lying to me, I stopped idolizing him so much, which I never should have done anyway, probably. But it's like, people are like, oh, no, you don't understand. He's just friends with the Pfizer CEO. That's why he believes them. And I'm like, so you're following a leader that can literally just be lied to by anybody, and that's okay with you, but I'm the bad guy for calling it out? It's like, what is this, a movement of conservatism? Is this a movement of First and Second Amendment? Is this a movement of, really combating the Great Reset and keeping our sovereignty and freedom in America? Or is this like a movement of people just making excuses for Trump? Is it about America and our values, or is it about this guy? Because if it's about this guy, what are you doing? That's like, people are like, I know you're right technically, but I'm just gonna say, it's like, I'm so over it. But it is what it is. This is my channel. This is my podcast. This is my YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and BitChute, and this is my perspective. Hope you like this. If you missed the first 5 minutes of the video, watch that. It's the most crucial. And if you like it, share it. I appreciate it. I don't get any promotion. I don't pay for any advertisements. It's all user generated. So God bless you. I appreciate you greatly, and I will never stop. I'm motivated by my country and God, and not I don't know, I guess power and just being like quiet about things that matter. It's not interesting to me. I'll be back soon, and that's my stream.